Well, folks, it is less than 3 weeks to the midterm elections, and Americans are starting to pay a serious attention. And by the way, it is a good thing. Maybe they are realizing that President Obama was absolutely right about at least one thing when he said, elections have consequences. They sure do. Since the last one, when Democrats took control of the White House, the Senate, and the House, our borders have more leaks than a well-worn cloth diaper, as over 2 million people are illegally walking right in without so much as a hand stamp. I mean, we are experiencing the worst inflation in over 41 years. And here's what that means. It means that you are paying about 18% more for groceries than you were a year ago. Gasoline, just to get you back to work and home, about doubled. And you're living with 11 months of your pay income for 12 months of your bills. And government goons are arresting an 87-year-old concentration camp survivor and pro-life advocate because she happened to protest out in the abortion business. Legislation is being drafted in some states that would subject moms and dads to being arrested if they didn't allow their underage boys to transition to becoming girls by taking irreversible drugs that would chemically castrate them, or if the parents didn't allow their daughters to have their bodies mutilated as teens by surgically removing their breast and giving them a hysterectomy. Now think about this. You're going to arrest the parents for not letting their children go through that. Did you ever think that you would see in America a time when the government thought that it could take your children away to perform major surgery on them, but would not allow them to have a Tylenol capsule at school? And all this time, crime in our communities is no longer just some nuisance in rough, gang-infested neighborhoods. The insane policies of far-left lunatics releasing violent thugs back on the streets without cash bail before their victims are even out of the hospital from being mugged. That's created cities that aren't safe to walk down a busy sidewalk in broad daylight, much less get on a city bus or subway without fear of being brutally attacked. And this didn't just happen. These out-of-control criminal acts are the results of the insane defund the police policies, while all but eliminating the consequences to the criminal. You know, the one thing Joe Biden and the Democrats seem to be adamant about is to make the dismembering of a baby in the mother's womb at any time for any purpose something to celebrate rather than to weep over. At least Democrats in the past would speak of abortion as being safe, rare, and legal. Today's radicals are determined to make it legal at any point in the pregnancy, right up until the moment of birth. Let me put it this way. If you are better off today than you were 2 years ago, then, quite frankly, you ought to vote to keep the Democrats in power. And they're going to keep doing what they've done by keeping our borders unchecked, killing American production of energy, and begging the Saudis for theirs, handcuffing the police officers instead of the criminals who run wild in the streets, who are also out there burning and looting and terrorizing your neighborhood. But if you are not better off than you were a year ago, frankly, you ought to vote for the Republicans this time, even if you never have, because they can't do any worse than what we have now. They just can't. So maybe in your family you've always been Democrats. I understand that. But today's party is not the Democrat Party of your father and grandfather. Today's Democrat Party is the party of the Silicon Valley billionaires, the Hollywood and Wall Street elitists, and the D.C. power brokers who are protected by armed guards, fly in private jets, and live behind a gate, while those same Democrats don't think you ought to be able to own a firearm. And they want you to ride a bike to work. And they expect you to even pay off the college loans of graduate students while you can't even buy school supplies for your own children. Now, when people are hired to do a job and they fail to do it, you know what happens? They get fired. And when they steal from us, lie to us, and take our freedom away, they shouldn't just get fired. They ought to get indicted. I mean, we may not see mass arrests of government officials who have made millions off of insider deals or who have abused the rights of the weak and the vulnerable. But for gosh sake, we do have the power to say to them loud and clear on Election Day, you're fired. Hey, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Since you're still here, let me share something with you. If you click on the subscribe button below, hit that notification bell next to it, and click the like button, you know what that's going to do? Virtually guarantee that you don't turn into an AOC fanatic. Do it now, before it's too late.